Okay, so here's a Bridgman translation drawing, page 169. This is back to the old traditional best friend of mine, my base language, which is the charcoal on newsprint. And it's a little wrinkly in there, but it's organic. I mean, you can't shoot that stuff perfect. Newsprint's impossible to shoot perfectly. You'd have to have some kind of vacuum thing to suck out the wrinkles or something. But anyway, what this is showing you is the basically shoulder girdle. And it looks like a bicycle handlebars. Now, if you look at it on an actual skeleton, if your school has a skeleton, or I know we have a number of skeletons around, um, they're not being held up by the muscles, so the clavicle has a tendency to bend the other way and look really dorky. I mean, it just doesn't look right. But when you got the traps holding on there, and you got the sternocleidomastoid on there, and you got the deltoids wrapping around, pectoralis attaching, it holds that thing up, and it looks a little bit more like a bike handlebar. I like to make it that way anyway. I mean, it's a little bit of an interpretation, it's a little bit of a forcing, but I think that looks just beautiful. Now, if you look at the one he drew, it's pretty clean, but it's not this clean. And I've taken a lot of time to really flesh out some of the shadow pattern to really give it a three-dimensional impact with a little bit of Hogarth in there, a little bit of, a lot of Bridgman, a little bit of Frazetta. Now, here you see it in different iterations. Here, it's the arm, one arm dropping, one arm raising. You see the stretching of the pectoralis muscle. You see the upper head, the middle head, and the lower head of the pec, the three heads of the pectoralis muscle. And you see it going up and attaching underneath, and the deltoid being slightly on top of it. And then you see the clavicle coming up. Now, arguably, this probably needs to come in front of this a little bit more. But he really dumbs down the clavicle here. He doesn't draw it with this kind of complexity. He's trying to show you how that clavicle kind of works like almost a lever, or like it just moves with the shoulders, right? You drop the shoulders, it goes up. You drop down the other way, it goes like this. You don't pull it to neutral, it goes like that. So we can see these different positionalities or positions, rib cage relative to pectoralis, relative to delt, relative to this. So this is more accurate. This is more simplified. Okay. You've got to look at Bridgman and learn to decipher the concepts. And that's why I didn't include his text, but you're going to need the Bridgman book along with this one, right? Because it's showing you. His will have more description of what he's trying to explain. So take a minute to read through his text. It's worth reading. But really, we want to get into your head solutions for various angles of the, of the clavicle. And so my take on it for a book like this is to chuck it full of as many drawings as possible so that you can interpret those drawings. And then you can go read a little bit of a snippet of what Bridgman's talking about. He's talking more about the mechanics of the body as a machine. And if you go to the Elliot Goldfinger, or you go to Robert Beverly Hale, or you go over to any of these other, Sarah Siblett, or any of them, they're going to be talking about the technical aspects of what's going on from an academia level, as if you were going to take a test on this and you had to write out every name, spell it correctly in its Latin, write its definition, where it connects, where it overlaps, all this stuff. And they're not so concerned about how do I make a cool conversion of that. That's all I'm concerned about, quite frankly. The other of it I learned because I have to explain it to you guys, and I want to do so in an intelligent manner in order to honor the subject with which I'm teaching. But I drew great drawings years, decades before I actually knew the verbal. And so for many of you, since you won't go on to teaching careers, probably, most likely, and you're not going to focus entirely on anatomy in your teaching career, even if you do teach, I would say hold off a little bit on hyper obsessing about the academia. Now, some of you are going to be intelligent people, and that's your way that you learn. You learn through book learning and this and that. So you're going to find yourself going over and trying to read every text you can possibly find on the human body. And your drawings are still going to look bad. Why? Because it's not about that. It's about sweat equity, and it's about drawing and getting the drawings through your hand, into your eye, into your brain, and building neural pathways that will allow you to draw efficiently and effectively in any situation. No reference, bad lighting, whatever. Okay? In order to do that, we need to put into our brain as many drawings as possible, done conscientiously, with focus, with intention. Not read about them. We need to put hand to pen, to pencil, to paper, to whatever surface we choose, whatever implement we choose, and we need to get it into our brains that way. That is visual learning, and that's how you learn this language. You do not learn it through reading. Now, do it if you want, but it takes time, and that takes time away from drawing other things. It takes time away from memorizing other things. So you're going to have to determine that. That's where I say direct your energies with intelligence and fashion your thoughts to fruitful issues. I know it's a mouthful, but it basically means don't just lose yourself in the minutia. Ask yourself, what am I trying to accomplish? And what do I want to get out of this? Okay. I want to get better paintings. I want to get dynamic drawings. I want to make a good living and I want to have fun doing it. Okay. That was always my goal. And I never lost sight of that. Never lost sight of that the whole time I was training. Okay. Enough on that page.